this is Trolls from ATO, and in this video I'll be presenting the next iteration in our NAS series. NAS is Natural Acoustic Strings. And in this particular video we're going to be focusing on the Ukulele Solo, which is a deep sampled, multi-sampled ukulele. And I should also mention that it's supplemented by another library called the Ukulele Strummer. There are certain things you can't emulate with MIDI when it comes to strumming, even though we do have it built into the library, but the strumming library contains over 4,500 real strums in a variety of different chords and so forth. And of course there are certain things that you can't do with strumming in terms of solo notes, and that's why you have the solo library as well. But ideally they're really designed to be used together. There's a lot of beauty happening between them, and they can really cross-pollinate. One of the great things, for example, about the strummer is that we have recorded perfect fifths, so you can pretty much design any chord you want by combining the real strumming with solo notes for a perfect fifth, for example. So in this video we're going to be focusing purely on the solo ukulele here. And as you can see in the interface here, we got 15 different chord patches. We have a fingered and a thumbed and a morphed. And the fingered was played in a natural finger position, so with 4 fingers on the ukulele, more arpeggiation style. And the thumbed was essentially where we recorded A note with the thumb. And there's a notable difference in the sound, and I'll try to demonstrate that as well. But before we get into that, we also have our fret controls here that are adding a variety of noises, fret noises, natural X noises to the instrument as well. It really makes it sound more realistic. We also have the release here. I actually prefer the release notes to be high on this one. You get that sound of letting go of the string. When you play fast, it's good to turn up the volume a little bit. It gives a more realistic performance. And then we have the strummer here as well, which is interesting. I'll demonstrate that, and it's something we introduced in our NAS Dobro series as well. But essentially, if you play more than one key at a certain tempo, the software will detect it and it'll add a strum sound as well. So you can actually strum with the solo sound here as well. And of course, as I mentioned, if you really want to get into strumming and more natural strumming performances, we also have the Ukulele Strummer library for that. And we have a dampener here as well, down here. But let me just try to play a very simple thing here, and I'll alternate between the natural fingered and the natural thumb, so you can get a feeling for the different sound they have, the different texture, and I'll go into that in greater length in the video. But it's a really there's a distinct difference between them. I find that the fingered has a more pointy sound, whereas the thumb has a little more wooden, warm sound, perhaps a little more traditional ukulele actually. Let me try to turn the strum feature on in a second here. I'll play a phrase that's sort of designed to be played strumming, and it's always hard to strum on a keyboard, but I think you'll see what I mean. And then I'll play it again, and I'll turn the strum on, and then I'll try to turn the strum on and off so you can get a feeling for how it actually works and the notable difference between the two. So as you can hear, it really gives an extra dimension to the strumming. It gives that natural kind of sound to it. I should also mention here, when you use the strum, actually, you can adjust the milliseconds of the strumming here. If you click on here and then go up and down your mouse, you can adjust it. We have it around 57, that range for default as well. Let me try to improvise a little more complicated piece here with the same patch. I just want to demonstrate what happens when you sort of alternate between solo playing and instantly go into strum. And again, the strumming is detected by the software when you do overlapping keys in the same sense you do legato almost. It's very intuitive. It's very easy to go from a solo performance, play some very fast solo stuff, and then into the strumming. And the great thing, if you play really fast, you will have natural overlapping notes, and it'll add a strum, and it sort of creates a little bit of imperfection in the sound that helps give a more realistic performance. So try to check it out. So, you can just have a lot of fun off the keys. It's pretty simple. The way it works is very natural. You don't really have to do anything, just play. There's no like crazy CCs or anything involved here. It just works right off the keys, and it's a delight. Let me play here with the next one, our Cathedral here. And before I get into that, let me just show you our effects page here. We've actually incorporated our Chaos Effects 3.0 system into the ukulele strum here. So you get a bunch of features, whether you want to have macros, if you want to do arpeggiations, filters, EQs, degraders, bit crusher, all that stuff here. And in this one here, the Cathedral, you can see we've actually added some convolution reverb, and we have two different convolution reverbs. We have our more sound designy transformer, and then we have the reverb down here. So there's tons of options here if you want to go in and really shape the sound here. We also added a stereo delay. Contact has mono delay as default, but this one works better. And the ARP is great if you want to really get into the more sort of arpeggiation stuff as well. But let me just play something soothing here with the Cathedral. Let's see how it works. And there's actually a surprisingly good bottom range in this instrument. As you can hear down the lower range, the basses are a little bit fat. They've got some grease down there. But let's move on here to the white double, which is a double track ukulele. It has sort of a white sound. It's great for chord-based stuff as well. And you could surely hear the strumming in this one here. And again, if it's a little too much, you can always adjust the volume here. I like to have a little more present because I tend to play a little faster with certain things, and I like that sort of that chaotic behavior of it, but you can certainly turn it down if you want a more modest one. Let's move on here to the banjolele. And it's cool. I don't know if you noticed, there's a bit of fret noises in the end. It almost sounds like violin players and cellists have a tendency, well, all the string players have a tendency to sniff a little bit or do that kind of sound with singing. The fret noises almost sound like that, reminding me about it. So, it's really about finding your own balance between the fret control, the release noises, and the strum noises, and to where you sort of find it comfortable. I like to generally have them up a little bit, a little more than natural, because once you play faster, you'll get that natural chaotic behavior between the fret noises, the release noises, and the strumming, and it just helps generate a better sound here. Let's also try the infinite here. I think it's pretty obvious what it does. It's beautiful. It just keeps on going on. I think it's one of the beautiful things. We're starting to have so much source material. Just in the last series alone, we both have a dobro, steel string, mandolin, and now this. And a bunch of others are coming as well. And once we have the whole collection, there'll be such an infinite amount of possibility of merging the strings together. And in the Morphed category here, we're obviously experimenting with that as well. Let's move on to the thumb category. And it's actually my favorite. It has sort of a little more wooden sound. I kind of like when there's a more round, soft sound to it. And this one has a little more of that, whereas the finger is a little more distinct. The thumb is a little more subtle or muffled almost, but it's beautiful. Isn't it nice? It's such a beautiful sound. It can really be used in many contexts. And for me, it has a little more of the classical ukulele sound. Let me try to just briefly play the thumb against versus the finger here. It's sort of important to point out because they're truly different sessions and different instruments. It's not like we just EQ'd one and all that. We actually recorded them completely separately. So try and check it out. And let me try the thumb here in the Cathedral as well. And we also have the thumb here in a double track fashion. Okay, that's certainly pushing the instrument a little bit, but I think it shows like I'm having fun with it right here. It's like just inspirational and it sings to me, which is not something you always get from virtual instruments. Let's try to reverse it here. Isn't it cool how warm it is? There's just such a nice body to it. It's not the biggest instrument, but we really take care when we, and I should say that when we do the NAS instrument, we are working with a very, very highest caliber of instruments. And there is something to be said about it. Like, granted, like if you're not super skilled, you don't have to get a great instrument, but for the purpose of sampling here, and I think it really shows when you get an instrument with a really beautiful body, not beautiful body, when it sounds great, well, it can look great as well, it doesn't matter, but you get some unique results. And with those words of wisdom, let's gently move into the morph category here. Let's try the sanctuary. And the morph category is a lot of fun actually, because we're blending different instruments together with the ukulele. So in essence, when we do the morph categories, and this goes for the other NAS instruments as well, we really try to look for textures, what will work. We'll sample certain things. Sometimes we'll use stuff from other libraries, but we'll really try to create a unique sound. In this one, I think we used parts of a polyphone and parts of an unreleased library, really start combining the two and create sort of a new texture. And forgive me for my 80s style playing here. Let me try to wrap it up here. Let's try a little more with the thumb. It is my favorite articulation, and I'll try to play, I might try to do 2 layers here. So I'll do first the strumming section, and then I'll play a solo over that. So let me just show you the strum first, and then I'll try to improvise a jazzy solo on top, and we'll see where we get. Okay, so let me try to, now that's recorded, let me try to play just an improvisation on top of that. I'm going to use the thumb articulation for that as well. And it's actually kind of cool. You can do both chord-based stuff and solo together and somewhat get a full composition.